Hello, everyone, and welcome to week 3 of Adapt, Automate, and Engage, our Teams in Healthcare Roadshow. Today, we will be focusing in on third-party applications. And over the past few weeks, we've been exploring what does it mean when we talk about Teams as a platform and how to really extend out beyond basic capabilities of Teams, and explored this in a number of different fashions. As with our prior weeks, our speakers are myself, Mark Barnes, Joe Johnson, and Vasu Sharma. We are all peers as senior customer success managers in the Health and Life Sciences division of Microsoft. Our focus is on healthcare. A lot of what we will focus on today has a healthcare slant to it, but is applicable regardless of which type of business you are in. So we appreciate your time today.
Hey Mark, I think we're seeing like a frozen screen. So if you don't mind, can you stop sharing and share your content again, please?
We'll do that. My apologies. Bring this right back. Better?
Still frozen on the same screen. Here, why don't I share my screen and drive the slides for you?
Okay.
That's okay.
Apologies for those on the phone. Working remote today. So our agenda that we will walk through today will just touch briefly on platform, kind of what that means. We won't go as deep as we have in past weeks. And then we'll dive in with some really good third-party applications. These are really only a reflective sample. There are so many out there. There's over 600 available. But today we will focus in on ServiceNow, Workday, Adobe Sign, AGFA, AMION, InCare, AMN Translation, and Jira. And before we get there, one of the things we really haven't had time for at the end of our other sessions, some of the Microsoft programs that we have to partner. So we'll go through that today. Go ahead, Vasu. So really just want to keep this slide. We've used it every single week, and hoping that, you know, as we talk about new things, realizing that, yes, we know everybody's busy, and so something new, it's effort, potentially even some level of risk. But the point is that it's really worth it. We want people to avoid being that cart with the square wheel when we've got these nice round circular wheels that can really make life so much better when it comes down to end user engagement, how your departments are able to operate, and even your entire organizations. And so there's significant value back to you to investigate and explore what these can do for your organization. That's why we're bringing this to you today. So if we think about Teams and that idea of meeting people where they already are, and in our first session, you hit enter, it'll start to fill in. You know, we talked about some of the basics and extending to Office 365, and now we're really in that outer ring of do more, and we've gone beyond some of the template things and custom line of business approaches into the third-party realm with that. You can go ahead to the next one. So as we look at this, you know, we're still focusing in on agents and things done with Power Apps, Power Automate, and things with the third party now start to really pull in integration developments that are done by other organizations to help their products work well with Teams. And so we want to keep that focus of there are key systems of record or key functionalities that you may have invested in, and how can those be leveraged through Teams and just surface them a little bit easier, make the employee experience that much less or more friction free, maybe is a better way to say that. So to really just improve the overall experience and efficiency within the organization. We can go ahead to the next one. And as we think about this, not wanting to overwhelm, there's a lot of content here, a lot of information, but when it comes to your org, what you need to solve for, start with just your key business scenario. Don't necessarily worry about which technology will do what. Talk to your Microsoft team, figure out just what's going on today. How do you want to get that work done? Where are some of the pain points that you know you need to resolve in that process? And then let us help you get there and move on to, all right, how do we actually solve for this and digitally transform what's going on today into a much better scenario in your organization. So now as we look at the Microsoft programs, and you can go right into the next slide, we've got a number of examples here that will really allow us to help you. And this is where talking to, whether it's your account team, CSMs, CSAMs, whoever's on the account, we have some just great individuals out there that we're here to help you achieve more. That is our goal. That is Microsoft's mission for everybody on the planet. But we have some of these more formalized programs where we can bring in, maybe it's a store for training, or we have some programs where something like Slate, where we'll help develop a line of business application up through even, we call it ESIF, which is end customer investment funding, and using funds that Microsoft has set aside to literally pay for someone to come in and create effort. We have programs that are funded for very specific things. So it's not a free-for-all. They have to be approved in most cases when it comes to dollars, but we want to be able to help you get there. Another one that's a very recent add to our program list is called the Umbrella Program, which may not mean much to folks listening, but the result to you does mean something. And that is that at no cost for a lot of what we're talking about, we can bring in trained Microsoft customer engineers to actually help you enable these third parties. They won't go do a whole lot of the customizations, but they will help you get it up and running so that you could start to do a proof of concept within your organization and determine what your own next steps might be. So with that, let's really switch gears now. Let's talking about some of these apps. So the first up is the virtual agent is called, and this is really with ServiceNow integration. And what this does is it allows people from teams to interact with ServiceNow, and really from a number of different approaches. Go ahead, Bossy. Some of the research done, and this is a ServiceNow study that is being published here, but the employee experience, and we've all been there, 44% are saying employers aren't providing easy access to information. We talked even in the first session about people spend, I think it was 20 or 28% of their day just trying to find information. That's a big pain point and a big waste of time for people in their roles. 45% struggle to get help resolving issues with their equipment. 52% don't believe the employers are invested in improving their experience. So we want something that is a visible sign to your employees that has real impact in these and many other areas. And the ServiceNow agent is a key part of that. As employees are coming in, their expectations are also changing in a more modern era. Their 9 to 5 needs to look more like a 5 to 9, just seamless, effortless experiences largely enabled by digital technologies. I really like that quote, but it comes down to we need more modern ways to communicate and get things done. Things have to be optimized for mobile, and they need to streamline ways that they get help. It should be personalized based on who they are, what their identity within the organization should allow for that level of personalization. The virtual agent from ServiceNow really makes it easy for them. You right from Teams, just like a chat. You can engage them, and it's back to that meet people where they are. They're already working there, but now let's automate a lot of these different interactions, personalize their responses by tapping into data that's already in ServiceNow. So we're leveraging the investment you've already made in the ServiceNow platform and really just surfacing it up to make it easier for employees to kick off and workflows and resolve different issues right in context of Teams. A lot of business efficiency improvement and employee satisfaction improvement with this. Opportunity there to lower costs when we talk about improving resolution time. And service desk folks will talk to what we call mean time to repair, which is the average of how long does it take to resolve. But what that means on an employee level, we're reducing how long they are negatively impacted by whatever the issue is that they have. So we're increasing their productivity. We can reduce onboarding time, reduce stress. This is 24/7 on, and very conversational front end to any of the options that are surfaced up within Teams. 50% would be a huge number of things that can be automatically resolved. Imagine the amount of time freed up from your staff that is resolving to whether it's IT incidents or HR incidents, could be another service-oriented group within your company where you can enable this with the Now agent back into ServiceNow. How this really works, I know this is a bit of a busy slide, but what we're trying to really reference with this is that through Teams on any device, you're not just doing a couple of real basic things, you're actually tapping into so much that you have in ServiceNow. So from a user profile for that personalization, maybe there's an outage going on and just being able to communicate or people can get updates on that. But then leveraging data within there when it comes to cases, the knowledge base, or even going beyond what's in ServiceNow to pull in other data as well. All that's the automated part. If someone is still having the issues, you can also, through the Now agent, then escalate them right to an individual to respond to that, and that could be on chat, video, or audio calls. So that transfer, super nice from an employee perspective. The picture there, she's right on her phone, trying to get a hold of that, has some questions, and that goes right over to a person, and he's able to dig in on that for her. What's really nice about the Now agent is it comes preloaded with many of the conversation pairs really built into this. So whether it's for IT, HR, both, you have quite a bit already there that you can leverage right out of the box before you have to even worry about adding in anything that might be very unique within your organization. Topic discovery. In this instance, someone begins talking and they're able to kind of walk through, okay, I want to do something with my email. I want to update my email. But then that last one, update my email to, so it's kind of giving a command. And Vasu, if you go to the next slide, it kind of shows what that's really doing. It's called slot filling. And in that situation, it's getting the info right from the person. So it doesn't have to ask a whole lot more questions. It just can go ahead and okay, now it's being updated. And so that's how it's able to execute and streamline that. Conversation switching. Let's say we need to switch gears in what they're talking about. It can do that right in line. So I would like to update my profile. Oh no, I want to switch to ordering a new phone. So it can do that very quick. It's not a handoff in any way, shape, or form, or extra steps on the user's part. Small talk is more natural language type of conversation. So in this one, it's really picking up on the key things that are being given to the agent as the individual is typing, and so being able to get that through to start taking some PTO and doing that from a conversational perspective. So the combination of these makes it very powerful from how it can help individuals resolve. So that 50% target compared to what you're doing today, so much value add that we can free up. I'm hoping that my screen will unfreeze here and allow me to share to do my actual demo. So Vasu, if you can allow me to share again, we'll try this one more time. If that doesn't work, we'll move on to Workday. So I am going to only share one window instead of my whole screen. Is my Teams agent coming through now that we see now virtual agent?
Yes.
All right, very good.
So, actually, no, you might want to try that again one more time. Yep. Speak now.
Coming through here shortly, hopefully. Now is that working?
Yeah, I can see it now, Mark.
Okay, apologies for that, everyone. Here we're working with the Now Virtual Agent, which is really like it's a chat bot. So people are instant messaging, chatting back and forth, they're meeting, showing up in chat. And so here, the Now Virtual Agent is also something accessible right through the chat. It can also be found once implemented over here in the 3 dots for finding our apps. If I just come in here, this could be pinned by IT so that it's just pinned to the left-hand side. But in this instance, I can just find it. Or once I've done that, I've got it in chat, and just like any chat that's out here, I can pin it up here to the top of my chats through the 3 dots. So if I unpin it, it would go below, and then I could pin it back up here. So when I come in here, first I say hi, which is very typical, just to kind of wake the bot up and make sure that it's ready to talk. So in this instance, what it's doing is giving me an option. Here are some topics that I can help with. So in the first one, let's go look at, let's say we have email issues. And so once I submit that, okay, what type? Let's say it's different. And now it's asking me to describe it. I am getting spam. And what the agent is then doing is it's using the knowledge base. And this one's a pretty limited demonstration, but if we had a few key articles out there about how to help address spam, maybe how to do some rules within Outlook, that can be popped right here to help them in a self-service perspective. Now, if we change gears here a little bit, let's go back. I'll just start it over, and I'll end this conversation and start a new one. And now let's go through and let's take a look at it from the Wi-Fi access. And so if we look, just going from a different approach here, it says, oh, okay, you need the guest Wi-Fi? Sure, we can help with that. You'll get a confirmation screen, just accept it. And so it's giving you the information right out of the gate very quickly. to go through that for the Now agent. So a lot of things that we can do here within this. And if I scroll back up here, I'll just kind of walk through this one instead of typing it out. But when I select, like, say, open a ticket, and in this one, I just indicated laptop needs a new keyboard. What is my urgency? Medium, and immediately it goes through and opens the incident so that I don't have to get on the phone, wait. I don't have to navigate through web pages to go start a new incident with the help desk. I can immediately come in here, create my incident, and away it goes. So a lot there that can be done. I'm only showing the IT side of it for this demo, but as I indicated in the slides, it actually comes out of the box with HR and IT options built there. So this can be built out really to help with HR tasks as well, which are very common for any organization, that there's a lot of interaction between employees and HR, and being able to minimize that down. All right, with my screen share working, I'm going to try to share the PowerPoint slide here, Vasu, and see if I can make that work. Hopefully that's not still frozen.
Yeah, see it, Mark.
Got it. Okay, do we see the entire presentation when I go full screen?
Yes.
Okay, very good. So Workday, application number 2, very popular HR system. A lot of customers have invested in this technology, and just like with ServiceNow, Workday has also created an integration with Team to help people accomplish a lot of their everyday tasks. So within here, what we're able to do is we can do things like look up a coworker, and I'll walk through and just kind of show this in a minute, but very quick way to get information about a coworker. Teams can do this in one way, but maybe the authoritative information is in Workday instead of Active Directory that Teams leverages. So something like this allows a quick way to find that information that's there. Managing time off, PTO, being able to check a balance, submit a request. Typically when I do this, I have to go look at my pay stub, see how much PTO I have, could go through and even enter PTO as well. Ways to really just quickly streamline that right here, but it's still registering with the authoritative HR system behind the scenes. Feedback, another great use of this tool. Say it's part of a review process, maybe it's just ad hoc feedback. Somebody did a great job, you want to make sure they're recognized. Do it right here through the Workday app from within Teams. And if you share that with others, then it can get out there to managers or other people to make sure that that feedback is recognized. Expenses, another one. I won't have this in the click through, but if you notice how in the actions to the right, it's just really dragging an expense receipt over there onto the chat and posting it. Workday is then going to go ahead and fill out a quick expense. So it just that easy to do, maybe a single receipt expense, and it does it for you without having to go through all the steps of getting into an expense application and submitting it, going through that. Behind the scenes workflows, if it needs approvals, all those aspects as well can be accommodated. Hiring process. Maybe we do interview loops where you've got multiple maybe managers or peers that are doing the interview on individuals. Quickly request and get the feedback on any one of those candidates, so that then it's all centralized right here within your hiring process and not done via email with a whole bunch of extra steps. Streamline it, make it very easy for those people to get to. So you can also go use natural language. So just like in the prior instance with the now agent, here again, I can through natural language go through, ask questions in a conversational way, and get those types of answers. So before we switch to ACVA, let's go through and we'll just kind of walk through on a demo of Workday. So here, as we're looking up our coworker, what we've done is we go to the Workday app. Here again, it's pinned over here on the left-hand navigation, or maybe it's findable in when you search for apps, and type hi to get started. But then I'm given that interactive card where I can select one of my options. So in this case, we select look up a coworker. We can put their name in there, get information back. This shows a little different than even on the deck, but it's showing contact info for Joy with her email address. Even has a bit of history there of working for 4 years, and it's showing her reports to manager and her team. So multiple ways to go forth and surface up that contact info. Here we also see that you can go over to Workday. If there's additional information that would reside there, you can go directly to that instead of having to go switch contacts manually and find the app and load it. And our feedback, another option right there on the initial contact card. Then we can just we enter the name. We can add our feedback. In this instance, a badge is also enabled to just kind of give it some fun flair. And we've got different categories of what type of feedback is going to be given. So we select from that. And we can keep it public or it can be private. So depending on the feedback, it may be appropriate either way. But very quickly get that feedback created and submitted that's out there. But now it's also logged within the system for you as well. So it's nice when there's an email or somebody uses the praise extension in a Teams chat to recognize someone, but that's not really logged anywhere. Something like this can also then be in Workday and part of reviews. So for time off, here again, we're just clicking on an option on the interactive card and just kind of natural, check our time off. So there's vacation, quick report on that. So then we can go ahead and we can request for what we have and just kind of walk that through. Not a super great way to format it, but Workday will be smart enough to be able to pick that up. And yes, we're going to use vacation hours. And we submit, and now our PTO is registered in the system. So hopefully we now get the idea of just how easy these interactions become for individuals leveraging the integration with Teams. So whether it's any of the apps that we're showing today, that is a lot of that goal is streamline, simplify the employee experience. So from their perspective, they will see that the organization is investing in what their experience is, doing it in very visible ways, and there's real benefit, whether it's for that individual or back at the organizational level. Huge savings, huge way to streamline and improve efficiency throughout the organization. So with that, I believe, am I turning this over to Joe for our next presenter?
Yeah, absolutely. Give me just 1 second here.
All right, so I will go ahead and stop sharing. Apologize for all the laptop sharing issues here today, everyone. Sometimes that just happens.
Yeah, and we're gonna have another one. It seems like audio is not going to share, but that's okay. We will work through it. So let me share my desktop here. And I'm going to adjust a little bit. I'm going to jump over and so I was going to cover up on 2 different third-party solutions, one being AGFA, and the second being Adobe Sign. And I'm going to go ahead and start off with Adobe Sign, and then just flip-flop a little bit. We'll go through AGFA second. So with Adobe Sign, I want to kind of talk through this a little bit first through PowerPoint, and then give you show what this looks like in a Teams environment itself. But obviously, there's a lot of purpose reasons for signatures across different types of documents for different types of criteria. It could be internal. I use the example of, we're getting ready to publish our financials, quarterly financials, and being able to have, the right parties go through, review that information, and then provide their signature approving the release as the final document to go out to public for public consumption. That's an opportunity. It could be anything though, right? So when we think about Adobe Sign, signing a document is interesting, but if we could bring that experience into a collaborative experience inside of Teams, it gets even a little bit more interesting and simple, right? So think about going through that workflow I just mentioned, but doing that in the line of collaboration inside of a Teams chat window. So if we look at Adobe just from a 30,000 foot view, you can see here the Adobe Sign has integrations across multitude of the Office 365 products, from the Windows operating system, Dynamics, Azure, your Power Platform when you're creating those custom applications, and then Teams. That's really where we're going to hone in on right now today. So when we look at that experience, there's a lot of reasons to have Adobe be inside of or integrated into the Teams collaboration experience to create this unique workflow experience. Being able to find the documents, share them, and get the signatures directly inside the Teams. So where we're working already, we're already chatting there, we're already working as a team there. Why not go ahead and put this additional component right there in line of work? Track documents and send reminders. So just again, we're in line of work, being able to go into a dashboard quick and easy while we're right there doing other team workload items and being able to execute without having to jump to another service. Send documents for acceptance and certify that delivery. So again, being able to send this, you send this via a chat message, and you can see and track that life cycle of that send. And then fill out and sign it without leaving the app. So because Teams throttles across the type of device that you're on, whether that's a laptop, a desktop, a tablet, or a cell phone, so does then Adobe Sign, the Adobe Sign experience built inside of Teams. It throttles to that device as well. So it gives you that really nice, clean user experience regardless of the device. As you can see here, just sign, and even on your cell phone, you could just sign right there on your screen inside the Teams app. So lots of different integration, again, between the Teams and Adobe Sign. Let's just take a quick look at what that might look like. So there's a few different opportunities in how to use Adobe Sign in your Teams environment. The first is pretty simple. I can go to the ellipsis here and I can add Adobe Sign as an app on the left rail. So you can see that right here. I went ahead and did that already. So if I go into Adobe Sign from this perspective, it's a bot, right? So this gives me an ability to have a conversational experience with this bot, and I can ask questions, I could type those questions, or I could go ahead and just use, oh, I'm sorry, I'm in Power Virtual Agent, not Adobe Sign. Let me switch to the right one. Sorry about that. Here we go. So you can see this chat experience. I can go in and I can ask these questions, and maybe I'm new to this, so I don't know exactly what types of questions I could ask. This gives me this little bar here. I can click on it and I can get help. I can check the status of a document. I can show just show me the documents that are waiting for my signature, show me documents that I've sent and we're waiting for other people to sign, right? So, and this can be built out. You can ask a multitude of questions, but as you can see here, just conversational and a bot experience. I can also jump over to the Adobe Sign tab right next to chat, and I'm going to get more of a dashboard kind of view. And you'll notice here, this is showing me, okay, I can send for signature, so I can create that new agreement or that new form to send it out. Where's that form going to go? Complete in the order in which it goes. So all the same things that you're used to if you use Adobe Sign today. I can name this item. I can go ahead and add a quick comment about the item as well. I could require password protection, send a reminder, and then I can just drag and drop the file in here that I need signed, or I could upload it as well. So I could hit the button here and add. I can manage agreements. So again, just that dashboard view right from this experience. So chatbot, send, create, and then manage what's already created. And you see here, I get all my in progress, waiting for me, completed, canceled, expired. So similar stuff. The other thing that I can do though, so this is again from that left rail with the chat experience, I can go to a team and perhaps the team we have, maybe we're working on, a project management team. We got 6 or 8 projects that we're working on. I can actually add Adobe Sign to the tab at the top within that channel, right? So I'm in a team, I'm in a channel. I clicked on the plus and I went ahead and added Adobe Sign right here. So it's not on the left rail. It's not for everybody. It's just right here in line of work with maybe our other important team level tasks. But you can see, I would just blow this out a little bit. I get that very same experience even at this level where I can create that document to send. I can then manage that life cycle of those different signatures, whether they're waiting on me, send reminders, completed, whatnot. I can see that whole dashboard view from the channel experience. So very similar. And then you also have the ability, we showed, 2 sessions ago, last session, I'm sorry, we showed Microsoft approvals, and how interesting it would be to take one of those specialty apps, Microsoft Approval, send that document out, that approval to 6 people. Again, let's think about that concept of we want to have 6 people to review this final financial report and approve it. Well, they could send it for approval, but have them sign as well. So the integration of approvals with Adobe Sign. So lots of different opportunity to embed Adobe Sign into that flow of work. And so with that, let's jump over to AGFA and grab my little slides here, and we'll take a peek and see if our guest speaker is here. Mr. Mike is available. Fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Joe.
And yeah, absolutely. So Mike Bunnell with AGFA Healthcare, and we just wanted to introduce the concept of AGFA and kind of the value that it brings into the team's collaborative ecosystem. And then if we have time, we'll either show a quick demo or a couple quick videos that showcase the solution live. So Mike, over to you.
Yep. Thanks very much, Joe. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time today. And well, it goes without saying, we are extraordinarily excited about our partnership with Microsoft and the team's business unit, and more importantly, what we've already created here from a collaboration environment. And so, yes, indeed, I'm Mike Bunnell, and very pleased to walk you through a bit of what we've accomplished to date with Microsoft. But of course, we're just getting started. So AGFA Healthcare is celebrating 151 years of business this year, and we specialize obviously in imaging. And as we've transitioned over those many decades and years, we're now a leading provider of enterprise imaging technology, which is what we consider the IHR, the Image Health Record, in which we aggregate images from across the ecosystem from disparate locations for one single consolidated view. And of course, that paired beautifully with what Microsoft was attempting and has attempted now to finalize, which is Teams collaboration. Just very briefly, this initiative started approximately 15 months ago when both our companies came together to present virtual tumor board through the Teams collaborative effort. Although that continues to be an initiative that we work on in earnest, but unfortunately COVID-19 struck our global markets from a healthcare pandemic perspective, and we felt that it was important for us to pivot. And when I say us, Microsoft and AGFA. And so we got to work very quickly. What you're going to see today was spawned out of the necessity to provide clinical collaboration across enterprises with the tools that we had available at the time to provide overflow healthcare to those that were being decimated by the pandemic. And that's exactly what we've accomplished. And everything you're going to see here today, our efforts have been commercialized here at AGFA and are available. So these are not works in progress that we're going to talk about today. So Joe, I'm just going to go through the 3 quick slides and then we'll show the snippets if that's quite fine with you. Very good. And so what we have to date, thank you so much. Yeah, what we have to date are 2 use case scenarios, and I won't walk through all of this, but of course, we all know Microsoft Teams and how we use and collaborate with the tool. So just imagine there you are in a large enterprise system. We have clinicians that perhaps can't get into the facility due to the COVID pandemic, but they still want to help, right? And they still want to collaborate. And more importantly, from a collegial perspective, there aren't a lot of great tools to do that in the healthcare ecosystem. And so that's exactly what we set out to do. So the first use case is relatively simple. The idea was, could we do static sharing and view on your own, if you will, right? So clinicians from all ologies collaborating on the patient experience would have the ability to view on their own, as I mentioned, and we accomplished that. That was the first use case that we worked on, and I'll just mention here in the next 2 slides where we deployed and you know, basically how they're using it. And then the second slide, Joe, just very briefly, as you've asked me to be more high level here today, but the second use case, actually the previous slide, you jumped one. Yeah, the second use case is really where it gets interesting. So the second use case is the ability to collaborate live. And this is an FDA approved image collaboration event. So now, because it is live, it's where we are today, right? So imagine we all had our mics off, we're all collaborating live from across the ecosystem on one patient encounter. And that's exactly what we're most excited about. And of course, this only scratches the surface. Let me give you an example of what this means. So one of the use cases that we're now deploying is cardiovascular surgeon collaboration. So if there are any cardiologists on the line, we all know how they collaborate today. It's the very same way they've collaborated in the past. And so now with a tool such as the image collaboration event with Microsoft Teams, everyone can collaborate in that one Teams channel, thus giving the ability of being in the room together. But of course, we're not together. And more importantly, we will never be together again, right? So virtual health is here, and we're fully supporting that with Microsoft Teams collaboration. So again, like I said, that example is that is today an FDA approved image collaboration tool that we have deployed with Microsoft Teams. And where have we deployed it? So we had to move fast, and that's the next slide, please, Joe. And as all of us know from last year, March, one of the areas that was being decimated the fastest was the UK. And so through our strong collaboration that we have with Princess Alexandra Hospital, part of the NHS Trust, when we presented this idea, and oddly enough, we did it with our collaboration with Microsoft. So we meet with Microsoft weekly, and in that session, we actually were texting the facility, asking if they'd be interested. They responded, yes, how fast can we get started? Within 45 minutes, we deployed from a test perspective. And literally within hours, we were collaborating as I've already explained, both use cases. So it's quite extraordinary. All this is well documented through Microsoft, through AGFA, and of course through Princess Alexandra. So we're very pleased. Now, one last thing I want to mention here. It's, you know, us on this line, we're all collaborators and we're all innovators. But the end of the day is, what do you do post-event? So post-COVID, I'm very pleased to say there are over 450 clinicians collaborating in this one Teams chat, if you will, or the Teams channel on the patient collaboration experience. It's extraordinary. It's never been done before. And like I said, we're only scratching the surface. So what I'd like, Joe, if you could, we do have substantial video content that we've developed with Microsoft, part of the Microsoft Ignite program, RSNA 2020, and etc. And what Joe's done is he's taken just a little bit of that just to show you what this looks like from a usability perspective. And I believe, Joe, that's what you're about to show. Is that correct?
Yes. Give me just one moment here while I adjust my devices on my machine. So it'll allow me to move forward here, but I'm going to show two quick video representations. And we'll be right back one second here.
No worries, Joe. Thank you. And the one last comment I'll make is we're very pleased to partner with Microsoft. We've partnered with Microsoft both on the health journey, health and cloud, as well as Microsoft Teams. And we do have a workflow patent for this, everything that I just mentioned today. So we're very pleased to lead first with Microsoft from this activity. This absolutely will change the way that clinicians deliver care.
Joe, are you sharing your screen?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yep, we hear you, Joe.
Sue, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Joe. We don't see a screen share though.
Hey, Basu, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Joe.
Okay, I apologize. I'm having a little audio issue here. But what I'm going to do is let me share my screen again. We're not going to be able to get audio. This is not a representation of Teams. This is my headset, unfortunately. But I apologize for that. Let me go over to the slides. Here we go. And what I've done is I just wanted to show real quick an integration of or a quick video for the Princess Alexandra Hospital use case, and then the second is the live broadcast in Microsoft Teams. So let's just jump in here real quick, expand this out. And if my computer is working correctly, we would actually be able to hear the audio here. But basically, you can see here the user is signing into the Zero viewer. Once they're in here, they are picking a specific case that they're going to start collaborating on. He sees the case here. So from here, you'll see the add-in where they're going to go up and they're actually going to start having this conversation over in Teams or tee it up as a chat. Let me just fast forward just here. Let's give it just a second. I know that unfortunately we're missing a couple of the icons at the top of what they're talking about. Here we go. There we go. So now we're basically, they clicked on the chat. So they're going to enter their initial comments here, and they can share the comment. They can share the actual comment and the discussion, or they can copy this whole thing and go send it over in an email or whatnot. I'm going to type it. We'll get over to the part where it gets sent. I apologize. I know this would be much more. We'll make sure you guys have the deck so you'll be able to go through this video in greater detail. But as you can see here, let me pause this. So as you can see here, by going in there and we said, okay, we want to collaborate on this particular case. So the person clicked on the Teams button, and that created kind of a contact card that just got filled out. And that contact card then allowed them to see the title. It actually links back to the particular case itself and comment. And then you see here, you can view this in the AGBA viewer, the Zero viewer. If I jump forward just a little bit further, what you'll notice here is almost there. Oh. So let me pause that. Okay, so the AGFA viewer. Now, this collaboration to be bi-directional, right? So we have this, let's say Joe initiated this collaboration with 6 of his peers, or 2 folks to review this in greater detail, so they can click in, they can view it. But you notice right below that, the reply. So one of the attributes with Teams is this inline persistent conversation. So now that we've started this contact collaboration card inside of Teams, we can reply back and forth, and we can keep all of this information in the same context, in the same card. So over time, maybe, perhaps I could have time to look at it this afternoon, but 2 of my peers, we're going to have to look at it this evening or tomorrow morning. We can all have that open collaboration, and it sticks within the context of that card. So that is the Princess Alexandra solution. And then if I jump over to let me see here, sorry about this, there we go. So the live broadcast, this is even also another interesting use case for AGFA inside of Teams. So if you think about the ability to have a meeting, so not just static communication, but actually bring folks together and have a live collaboration, this live broadcast ability inside of Teams has a very similar attribute. So again, we're in that viewer. We go into the viewer, click on Teams. We want to collaborate. Who do we want to collaborate with? Do we want to put it behind a password? We can if we want to. So we've got the URL, we've got the password. We jump over, we can add comments. We can post this in a specific channel. So you can see here this COVID-19, this is a channel inside of a Teams. So maybe there's 6 of us in the channel to go ahead and collaborate here. What's going to happen here is you see it scheduled. Now we're seeing that card right in Teams, and we can actually start that live broadcast. So now we can all come together and co-author, if you will, so we can both mark up, or all 4 of us can work on and share our markings, if you will, on each one of the different documents. So this is going to show side by side 2 different users that are signed in. It's a little bit hard to see here, but you'll notice as they draw, each one draws differently from their respective view, but they can collaborate on this particular article. So with that, it's interesting. I'm hearing the audio from them. I apologize. So with that, that's, in summary, there's a couple different scenarios or use cases or abilities to use AGFA inside of Teams to bring collaboration to those images. With that, I'll go ahead and turn it back over to Mike just for any closing thoughts, and then pass it over to my peers again.
Yeah, thanks very much, Joe. And yeah, so both of those video snippets Joe can put into the chat for the group, and you can watch at your leisure. But the most dynamic part of the last video that you had seen is that's real-time collaboration, and that's what when I say we, Microsoft and AGFA set out to do. So static is nice, but the real-time collaboration is a direct clinical benefit. And it really speaks to speed to care. And that's exactly what we set out to accomplish. So all of what you've seen is available. Again, not a work in progress. We're very pleased, particularly here in North America, to be able to offer this initiative with Microsoft and the great people and the teams. Well, you want to say teams again, right? So teams and teams. But anyhow, I think everybody has the feeling there. So we're very pleased to be a ongoing partner, and our initiative is a weekly event, and we don't see us stopping now. Thank you, Joe, for the time today.
Thanks, Mike. Really appreciate you joining today. Thank you so much. And I'll pass it over to Vasu, I believe.
Yeah, thanks everyone. Joe, Mike, thanks for the special mention for AGFA. And we're excited to see how your app is going to progress over the next few days. I'm going to take a quick step back and then we'll cruise forward. I'm going to quickly just to round things up, Mark and Joe showed a bunch of applications, maybe level set as to the different types or different ways or modalities in which third-party applications show up inside of Teams. So if you do access the app section inside your Teams interface, you will see that there are some categories down here. One category is personal apps. So anything that you can pin on the left side, essentially, or that you can find here. You've got an option for bots. Bots are something that allow you that conversational experience, similar to the Workday bot or similar to the ServiceNow bot that Mark talked about. There's a tab-based experience, right? So AGFA potentially shows up as a tab inside of your team. There's a connector experience, which means data is going to be dumped from a third-party tool as an update inside of a channel so that everybody can see and talk about it and collaborate on it. And then there's this notion of a messaging extension. And we'll talk about this here briefly in some more detail. But anything that you see in your chat interface down below right here or inside of your channels, that is essentially a messaging extension. So these are 4 or 5 modalities in which any third-party app or any custom app that you develop for that matter shows up inside of Teams. Now with that, I'm going to maybe quickly switch gears and talk about a few healthcare specific applications and walk you guys through what essentially are targeted towards providers. And then I'll quickly jump into Jira because I believe that applies to a more broader knowledge worker community. So the first app that we're going to talk about today is AMION. AMION, as some of you might know, is used by many clinical teams for scheduling and for managing who's on call, who's off call, who's managing what shift. And so we've brought this functionality that, AMION can attach itself to a channel inside of Teams. And here's a screenshot, as you can see. For the Contoso Hospital, we've got the AMION app set up as a tab. And notice how it displays all of the different groups, the services for each of those groups, and the names of individuals who are associated with that service for a specific shift time, along with an option for a single click Teams call and a Teams chat, right? You also notice that, there are a couple other columns that you can add here around primary contact if you don't use Teams for your voice related stuff. You do also have an option while we're talking about it to sift through different days and different shift times, right? So that you're not necessarily looking at a single snapshot of who's on call right now, but you can also look in the future, look back in time and figure out, the personnel who you are supposed to converse with, collaborate with, and do that directly from within Teams. There's also this notion of being able to customize or reorder some of these columns. So all that you saw here as surfaced through the AMION app, can be reordered for better viewing purposes, or can be you can drop labels if you wanted to, for better viewability and better ease of access. Again, the core motive here is to support your clinical teams to easily and best find people that they need to collaborate with in other departments based on their availability and their shift schedule. The next app that we're going to talk about is InCare, and I'm going to do a quick little video and then we'll talk about some screenshots about InCare teams. InCare, as some of you might know, is a solution provided by Innovaccer. Innovaccer, has deep roots inside of clinical coordination, patient experience improvement, related workflows and products. InCare is the one which is geared towards care team collaboration. And I'll just play this quick video for you guys to see, followed by some quick summary of what InCare inside of Teams can look like.
Today, in this demo, we are going to take a look at how the connected care framework drives efficiency and helps healthcare organizations stay patient-centered. It promotes collaboration across the care continuum by creating a unified health record and automating manual tasks. Microsoft Flows provides you the flexibility to build care protocols best suited to your organization. In this case, the organization wants to contain healthcare costs by managing ED visits. For this, they want to ensure a timely intervention for all high-risk patients. Through Microsoft Flows, all the high-risk patients will be automatically assigned to care managers, and the low-risk patients will be sent an SMS reminder to schedule a visit with a primary care physician. Now, the care protocols have been set for the care management team. So when the care managers log in to InCare on Microsoft Teams, they will see the newly added patients for the day in their to-do lists, thus saving them the time and effort spent on manually looking for the patients. Within this workflow, the care manager can go into the listed patient profiles for the day and get a 360-degree view that contains clinical, claims, medication, and other records of patients. Care managers can go beyond this and get context on previous encounters as well. For instance, this care manager saw that the patient Jacoby has an appointment booked with their primary care physician. The care manager can directly talk to the PCP's nurse through the chatbot and coordinate there itself. Unlike many other platforms, it also allows to seamlessly highlight critical patient information and send a pre-visit summary to the PCP. Through real-time dashboards on Power BI, the leaders can keep a tab on the performance of the teams and the efficacy of the care protocols. The dashboards allow the users to view the ROI being delivered, cost of care, utilization metrics, and much more. With actionable insights, seamless connectivity, and a unified view, the connected care framework keeps on evolving for the organization, leading to improved clinical and financial outcomes faster.
So as you guys noticed, there's a couple of modalities that we touched on here, right? You might have noticed that they had the app plugged into a channel as a tab, and they also had a chat-based interface through a bot experience, right? And so hitting on two modalities, bringing in action items specific to patient care and insights for people to study, analyze, and draw some next steps from. That's essentially what InCare inside of Teams allows you to do. I will quickly go through a set of screenshots because the video was fast enough of the experience that you see when you attach this inside of a channel in Teams. So notice in this case, here's the InCare tab, if you will, and there's a set of or a mini tab of to-dos where there's a listing of all patients and the activities that they're expected to undergo through the care team. Notice that there's an action or a tab, if you will, for activities received. So once between the care team, once you've huddled on and when you've decided what next steps look like for a patient's care, all of the activities received and the assigned ones, they show up essentially across these tabs. Clicking on a patient's information or a patient's card, if you will, you do see three types of tabs again. One is around activities, one is around their summary details, and then one is around notes. So notice when you click on activities, you get a clear listing of stuff that is completed, something that is assigned today and who it is assigned to. And then similarly, you'd have something outstanding show up in another color, right? Clicking on the P360, it gives you the overview of the patient and the risks that they have and so on and so forth. So again, an aggregation of somebody's care-related stats in one single place, along with the option to surface notes so that the care team can best collaborate. Now, the next step, or where does Teams fit into this, is you can take some of these next action items, some of these notes, and create a chat conversation around it or a Teams meeting around it. So bringing it into the context of the platform where you essentially collaborate, that's what InCare and Teams does best and looks great. In the interest of time, I'm going to sift through a few slides here real quick. The next product or the next third-party tool that we want to talk about is AMN Language Services. And this is just wireframes because we're in the process of finishing this up, hopefully by the end of next quarter. The idea here is, how do you bring in an interpreter inside of a telehealth consultation inside of Teams, right? And so some of you, if you're studying this space extensively, you might know that Teams is or has introduced this notion of meeting extensions, or the idea of adding apps inside of a meeting, right? And so that's the concept we're going to apply here and look at what bringing a live interpreter inside of Teams for a telehealth visit might look like. So we start off simply by, finding the Teams calendar. So as you know, on the left rail, you've got the Teams calendar here. You click on it, and then you look to find a new meeting, right? Once you do create a new meeting, and once the meeting is scheduled, you will see a few options show up on the top, more than just these two standard ones. You'll see a plus sign show up on the top, which would allow you to then add the language services directly, right, inside of the context of that one singular meeting. So what I'm going to go ahead is simply to click add on this. And what it lets me do, as you can see, it modifies the upper set of tabs relevant to this meeting. And it tells me that, hey, this is your organization. Here's how you use this application. And it gives me a tab to check the history of appointments that I made involving a live interpreter. Now here's the in-meeting experience. As you guys can see, the real estate for the Teams meetings panel up on the top looks slightly different, and there's going to be an icon for the language services, clicking on which you would have the option to sift through or just to look for the language that you want to involve. So let's say I'm a non-native English speaker and I'm having this consultation with my doctor. Clicking on this, the provider would be able to bring in a live interpreter just by starting to type the name of the language. It gives you a filtered view of it. So in this case, let's go for Spanish. Once you do hit that, behind the scenes, the AMN team basically does a real-time connect to a live interpreter. And once the interpreter has been identified, which is in near real time, they're basically brought into this meeting as seamlessly as you imagine meeting any colleague on a Teams meeting. So you're bringing in a third-party interpreter required for delivery of your telehealth services without additional clicks or without additional setup and configuration, with the full capability of the Teams experience, with all aspects of audio, video, screen share. That is something extremely powerful. We are coming out with this, working very closely with AMN Language Services over the next few days for a delivery, most likely the end of Q2, Q3 timeframe, right? So if you have any questions about this, or if this is a workflow that you guys include in your telehealth scenarios, please feel free to reach out and we can schedule some more deep dives around it. I'm going to simply close out this section of the presentation by telling you, remember we looked at the tabs. And so once a visit is concluded, you'll have a history tab essentially that tells you you know, which interpreter services you've used and when. So for purposes of audit logging or something on those lines, you can probably train your provider staff if this is required at all. With that, I'm going to quickly cut over, just in the interest of time, moving quickly, guys, into a more knowledge worker centered experience. And let's talk about how Jira Cloud or Jira Server integrate with Teams, right? So many of you, I believe, you typically use Jira in your engineering orgs, in your DevOps, in your help desk and support organizations, or maybe in your line of business organizations, right? And the goal typically is you're doing some kind of planning, you're creating some kind of a ticketing experience, and you're maybe managing your backlogs that way, right? So you have to plan, you have to track, you have to, report and, make sure that your releases are timely. And Jira is central to your workflow. So because you essentially collaborate in teams using chat, file share, and meetings, and the fact that most of your work artifacts live in Jira, we figured why not marry the two together, right? And so what I'll demo through a series of quick click through slides here is that marriage between Jira and Teams, right? You do potentially want to maybe spend some time checking it out in your apps portal once we do go through this demo, and let us know if you have any questions. For that, I'm going to quickly cut over into this Jira's summary app slide because I don't want us to spend cycles on a live demo at this point. So remember I talked about the different modalities of including a Teams app. This modality is adding Jira inside of a channel as a tab. So on the top here, click on the plus sign for this project team, for example, for their research and development channel. We're going to go ahead and click on the plus sign on the top, following which you're presented with a list of applications. And this list is typically controllable by the IT admin, right? So it's imperative if you're a line of business and that you use Jira, if you let your IT teams know that, hey, we want to look at this integration, can you enable Jira for us or the rest of the organization, right? So find Jira Cloud here, click on it. What that essentially means is it gives you an option to either select, the kind of tab you want to set up, right? So you can set one up from your service desk queue. You can create a custom filter, or you can use one of your saved filters, right? So in this case, let's just go ahead and select one of these. Once you do select any of the queues, you can simply, go ahead and customize what type of an experience you want here. In this case, for Amit, he's just going for the IT service desk queue, and then he's going to stack up all the open issues essentially. So what this looks like at the end of selecting or filtering or sifting through the options is you're going to go ahead and click on save, at which point the tab is now created and it gives me a listing of the issue, the created timestamp, who reported it in the first place, who is it assigned to, the status, and a few metrics that you might want to track. So time to response, time to resolution, so on and so forth. Inside of the Teams interface, again, the idea here is full visibility into what you're working on, for example, right? You do have an option, and I'll just quickly go back here real quick and show you. You do have the option to play around with the bot-based experience. So let me go back a few slides here. And so similar to what we did for the IT support queue, once you have your tab pinned to the channel, you do have the option to essentially create issues if you're looking at Jira from a DevOps perspective instead of the service desk queue. Create an issue right from within Teams. You can select which project and which issue type you're looking at, and once you're done, hit create. You do have the option. Notice again that the status of the issue shows up, in near real time, and then it refreshes automatically. When you're inside of the channel, then here's where the messaging extension comes into play, right? So down below inside of the channel, you have the option for the Jira Cloud messaging extension, clicking on which surfaces to you all that's in your backlog. Essentially, all of the issues that we were tracking in the dashboard or in the tab, they show up inside the chat interface. So what you can do with that is you can click on one of these work items, and then you can bring it directly into the channel, and then you can use role-based tagging or just mention some of your coworkers to start working on it. Now, the cool thing is you can obviously extrapolate that into a Teams meeting, or you would essentially just have a chat about it. But this way you're working visibly and in the open about items that you track, right? So here you can see, just by mentioning people or just bringing in the bot experience, it Emily's used sort of the bot experience to assign this task to Amit, which means the status, if we go back to the board, would have changed, right? You do notice that there are options for you to do more. In the interest of time, I'm just going to maybe close out here with a couple more screenshots. Just know that different modalities of Jira you can bring inside of Teams. Here's an example of the personal app that I was talking about. So not only can you bring Jira inside of your Teams experience, you can click on the Jira cloud for your own personal view, opens up a chat-based bot experience that you can, do a help command for. You can find and search for functionality, and then you can go ahead and maybe click through these tabs to create or to view an experience just modified or maybe curated for you. So all things assigned to you, reported by you, and your filters all show up in one place. So the idea here is to use that multi-dimensional app experience, including like a channel tab, a messaging extension, a chatbot, and a personal app, and bringing it in for purposes of accelerated productivity inside of your team. There is an option for you to also hook any of your connectors inside of Teams from Jira so that it dumps information directly into a channel. I do realize that we're slightly tight on time, so I'll probably turn it over to Joe. Joe, if you're able to close out, just maybe talk about next steps and what future options are going to look like.
Yeah, absolutely. So just, really appreciate everybody's time on the behalf of Mark, Vasu, and myself. Thank you very much. Hopefully you found the information very interesting, at least some portion of it. The idea here is really to provoke thought and ideation, show you what was available and the opportunities that you could bring forth to your business to help empower your business and do more. So really that central theme of how do we bring people or bring solutions together and meet people where they already are, where they're already chatting and where they already have their documents and they're already doing work. How can we bring more versatility to that and simplicity to make it even easier? So that's the thought behind Teams and all the things that we've covered over the last 3 weeks of sessions. So again, really appreciate that opportunity. Just to kind of run through the hierarchy again. We started off talking about Teams apps and just those specialty apps and having them available. We talked about the Teams template apps, so the framework that we created, purpose-built to solve for certain problems that customers were bringing forward to us. And then third-party connector apps, like we just talked about today, bringing those workflows into that line of work where we're already at. And then custom apps, so being able to custom create your own processes and flows using the Power Platform. So again, I know there was a lot of information. We are here to help. If you have an account team, you likely have access to folks like Mark Basu, myself, part of the customer success organization at Microsoft. Here, love to meet, connect, and help. If you don't, please reach out to us and we'll see what we can do to connect you to certain streams, certain avenues. lots of ability, lots of opportunity to bring things to your environment in that crawl, walk, run type of a model, if that's what it takes. Again, we're just here to help support you and your organization help your customers. So with that, again, we'll say thank you from Mark, Vasu, and myself. Really appreciate it and hope you have a great rest of your week.